The Gujian series is a fantasy game that was first released in 2010. As with most series, Gujian 3, released in 2018, continues to build on the timeline established in Gujian 1. Though the storyline in the game is fictional, many references to books, foods, places, and characters relate to real historical events. Even the timeline in the Gujian series seems to overlap with the timeline of China's history. It is not necessary to have played Gujian 1 or 2 to understand or enjoy playing Gujian 3. This is the first game in the series to be released in English, which makes the game widely available to the rest of the world, and, if you're not familiar with China's history, you may have missed some of the significant achievements that were covered in the ending credits. We'd like to explain those relationships to help shed some light on some of the things you may have missed. This may contain spoilers, so if you've not yet finished the game, you may want to come back to this video in the future. The Gujian series has an incredibly well-written story, and Gujian 3 is no different. I think this helps to immerse the player into the game's world, which also helps the player relate to each character's story. One main theme referenced throughout this game is the inheritance of progress that is made when working together toward a common goal. It is normal for fairies and demons to live for thousands of years. They are able to take their time to become or build great things in their lifetimes. However, this is often not possible for humans who might live 100 years at most. Beiluo and Yuangyue are inspired by how the humans are able to work together, each contributing a small part to the whole of building something great. This is one way the game helps players relate to Shenying, because if we work together, we too can accomplish great things. Gujian 3, Dreaming Under Ancient Stars. The ending credits explained. The right page depicts the start of human civilization when our ancestors wore animal furs sitting around a fire pit in a cave. If you look closely, you'll find this provides shelter from the wild animals outside in the dark. This was the starting point of humankind uniting and using tools to survive. The left page shows an image of Xianghuan, who is Qiyou's younger brother, making a sword. Historically, long swords were first used during the late Han Dynasty between 1600 and 1046 BCE. According to records of the Grand Historian Yellow Emperor, a sword would be crafted for the emperor using bronze from Mount Shou, and it would have ancient characters engraved into it. Farming. Fire is used to symbolize the start of human civilization. Farming is used to symbolize the first revolution leading to prosperity when humans changed from consuming plants in their environment to reproducing and farming plants. The Xia dynasty was the first dynasty of China. Wheat, not rice, is pictured because wheat was the main food source of people in the Xia and Shang dynasties. Weaving. It is said that Lao Tzu discovered silk and used it to make clothing during the Shang dynasties. It is also used to express one's beauty and provide differentiation between social classes and order. This picture shows Luozuo raising silkworms. The old woman has a basket of mulberry leaves, and the young girl was weaving cloth from silk. In Gujian, Luozuo from Xiling was the Yellow Emperor's wife. Pottery. Primitive porcelain was produced during the Shang dynasty. This method of pottery making would be refined into the Eastern Han dynasty into porcelain we know today. The town of Jingdejian in the Jiangxi province is regarded as China's porcelain capital. Written language allows us to share knowledge and record information. This information depicts ancient people carving oracle bone script. Oracle bones are pieces of ox shoulder blade or the flat part of a turtle shell. Oracle bone script was the earliest known form of Chinese writing from the late 2nd millennium BCE. Timekeeping. This is a Chinese astronomical calendar that was invented during the reign of the Yellow Emperor. This calendar is a lunisolar calendar that uses both the sun and phases of the moon. This image depicts the observatory from Tao Temple in Shaanxi Province. Ancient people used this to determine the summer and winter solstice and plan farming activities. Divination, or knowledge of the supernatural. The Chinese culture is superstitious. In this image, we see the leader burning a turtle shell to predict the future based on the texture of the burning shell. This practice lasted until the Zhao Dynasty, when a book known as the Yi Jing became more popular. Worship and sacrifice. This image shows how ancient Chinese people paid their respect to nature and worshipped their past ancestors through sacrifice. Based on the size and shape of the bronze vessel, these people are worshipping their father to ask for guidance in their lives. Music. Music is popular in ancient Chinese culture because it was a large part of country activities, and they believed it could help educate the citizens. China was the first country to make and use chimes to create music. They were made from bronze and played by using a wooden hammer. Paper. The process of making paper as we know it today was first made in Luoyang, China. The paper was likely made from mulberry bark, hemp, rags, and water that was mashed into a pulp, pressed, and then hung in the sun to dry. Before paper, characters were carved into bamboo, which was labor-intensive, or written on silk cloth, which was too expensive. Seismometer. The ancient seismometer was invented by Zhang Heng in the late Eastern Han Dynasty, circa 132, to detect earthquakes. There are 8 dragons pointing in different directions that held a ball in their mouth. This ball would fall into the frog's open mouth, indicating the direction of the earthquake. Engraving. Engraving was widely used during the Tang Dynasty, circa 618 to 907, to speed up publishing. The oldest engraved book is the Diamond Sutra from the year 868. This book was about the discourse of the Buddha to a senior monk, Subhuti. Jiaozhou Bridge. The Jiaozhou Bridge was designed and constructed by Li Chun during the Sui Dynasty, circa 581 to 618. Similar bridges in the West would not appear until the 1800s. Plowing. The curved plow, or the moldboard plow, had a special design that helped plow the ground more effectively while reducing friction. Farmers started using this updated plow since the Han Dynasty, which greatly improved production. Movable type printing. Invented in the Northern Song Dynasty, used wooden blocks with characters engraved on it. These blocks were arranged on a pallet that was pressed into paper to create the printed page. Compass. The compass was invented during the Song Dynasty that used a spoon-shaped magnet that pointed south. Before being used for navigation, these compasses were likely used for feng shui and fortune-telling. Black powder. Black powder was invented during the Tang Dynasty for medicinal purposes. It was found by accident when alchemists were researching a way to live forever. It was later used with weapons, and today it is commonly used to make fireworks. A silk spinning machine. Lady Huang Daopo upgraded this machine, which improved the efficiency by 4 to 5 times when compared with traditional machines. Corn. Corn was introduced to China around the year 1530 and became popular during the Ming Dynasty. This marks the start of more cultural exchanges and communication with people outside of China. Chinese medicine. This image depicts a doctor blowing powder into a baby's nose to treat smallpox. The Great Wall of China. Several walls were built as early as the 7th century BCE, and select stretches were later joined by the first emperor of China, Qing Shi Huang, in 220 to 206 BCE. Ming treasure voyages. Zhang He, who lived from 1371 to 1433 during the early Ming Dynasty, was a Chinese marine explorer, diplomat, fleet admiral, and court eunuch. He commanded treasure voyages to Southeast Asia, India, Western Asia, and East Africa to share the rich goods of China. According to legend, his ships carried hundreds of sailors on 4 decks. and were almost twice as long as any wooden ship ever recorded. Beilua, Yuingyue, and Seying go back to the nameless depths to check on Wujiao. Wujian citizens are worshipping the souls that are sealed in the Stele Forest in Wujian Kingdom. Luo Zuo, credited for inventing weaving, and Ji Xuanyuan, the Yellow Emperor, playing a qingqing. Ciwei, behind the tree, and Wujiao playing a gudi, which is a Chinese bone flute dating back to around 6000 BCE. This image is depicting Beilua and Yuingyue's current and last life. If you look closely, in the water you'll see the reflection of Jingyuan and baby Yuingyue. The Sky Elk royal family, Xuange and Nisha, are in the foreground, and Yulin and Lansheng are in the background. The black onyx and golden gliders, aren't they cute? The Ling Xingyao and Ling Xingyan brothers are traveling to Stargazer Hall. Far Night Bay and the Celestial Wheel. Beilua and Yuingyue seeing Senying off to explore the world during treasure voyages. Senying visiting Africa and dancing with the local people. Senying swimming with the mermaids. Do you think she's in Denmark? Senying visiting Europe. Senying is preparing for her wedding ceremony and looking at herself in a mirror. Senying is bringing her child to visit her ancestors, the Yellow Emperor. The table contains a traditional offering of food and burning incense. Senying visiting Brother Liu and his family. There was a subtle hint earlier in the game that will explain why he's married to a fox. Did you catch it? Senying fulfilling her dream of becoming a teacher. Senying wrote books to pass knowledge to future generations. Senying is with her granddaughter. Beilua and Yuingyue are married based on the clothing they are wearing. They are coming to visit Senying as she is now very old. 4 character phrases are similar to poems or sayings in Western cultures. Each 4 character phrase carries a significant meaning. They are translated on the bottom left.